Hey everyone, it's Brian Porter. Welcome to our next video. This is a quick primer on some things all about P90s. We're going to cover a bunch of topics in this video, and then you'll see some more videos coming out over the next few weeks, over the next few months, more specific to each topic that you see here. So I'm going to try to cover a bunch of stuff. So ways back, it's been several years now, I had a video on adjusting P90 pickups, and apparently there's some things I left out there. I got a lot of comments that it wasn't clear enough. So I want to start off this video addressing a couple things about adjusting P90s. Now, in that video, I mistakenly thought that it was fairly self-explanatory on how to adjust the pickup heights on P90s, but I did maybe release that in error and not show enough detail. Sometimes I feel like I assume things and then I don't show them or talk about them, and then obviously the keyboard comments start flying in. So first off, adjusting P90s. We're going to talk about that first. I'm going to show you just a little bit of how you would solder in P90s. Now there's a bunch of different ways that they install, whether it is to a switch or a pot, and I'll show you to a pot on this video. But let's talk about optimal pickup heights first, then we'll get into the adjustments. So I've got our trusty Reverend Jetstream 390. It's got 3 P90 pickups. You can go back in our channel and find some videos on this guitar. We did the pickup swap, we worked on the frets, we did some tone samples of these pickups. But today we're talking about the heights of the P90. So I'm going to zoom in from a different angle and talk about how I have these set up and how you might want to try that on your P90 guitar. Let's check it out a little closer. All right, so we take a look here at the bench. You can see we have what we call kind of the staircase method. If you've got just a 2 P90 guitar, a double P90 guitar, double humbucker guitar, this will work for any type of guitar that you have. I'm typically going to set that neck pickup as low as I'm comfortable with, and then I'm going to gradually go higher. You can see the necks drop down really far here. The middle's a little bit higher, and the bridge is close to the strings, maybe around 1/8 of an inch, or even less in some cases, on the bridge pickup. All of the guitars in the shop are set up this way, and I don't recommend specific pickup heights because each guitar is going to be different. But what this does is a volume balance. So the first thing you're going to do is play something like a G chord. You're going to go through each position and go for a volume balance across the board, no matter where that leaves the pickup heights. Now keep that in mind because a lot of times our neck pickups are very boomy, very bassy, so really want to drop those back as far as you can to where you're comfortable with it. You of course don't want to lose all the tone, but somewhere where I have it here looks kind of extremely backed off. I would even go more on this guitar or other guitars, depending on how you prefer that. So try that method. Again, play a chord, move through the positions. Again, this is kind of cool because we have 3 P90s. That kind of makes this one different, but this would be the same way that you would want to consider setting up your Strat as well. Okay, really quickly on adjustments for P90s. Righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, that's the biggest thing, and I've got a motorized drill here. I don't recommend using one of these for putting the pickups in unless you've done a lot of them. The biggest issue with P90 heads is a couple different things. I'm going to change the camera angle and I'll talk a little bit about those things to watch out for. All right, so as we look at adjusting these pickups, again, we're going to go righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. That's like the cheesy saying that you can remember. So tightening the screws is going to lower the pickup. Loosening the screws is going to raise the pickup. This particular set, we have springs. So we use the standard humbucker springs underneath each of these 2 screws. So you can see the 2 screws that look different here between the pole pieces, those are going to be your height adjustment screws. These are just your pole pieces. You can raise and lower them to kind of tailor that tone a little bit more, raise the magnetism if you'd like, depending on your guitar. So if I'm going to lower this bridge pickup, I'm going to put that in there. Make sure that I've got the threads captured. No matter what you use, make sure it's captured. I'm just going to give it a couple quick triggers and see how it kind of dropped the other side of that pickup there. And we're going to do it with the same with this other one. And now we've kind of adjusted that pickup height. Again, I recommend doing it with just a regular screwdriver, but that's how you would do that. And if I want to bring that back up, because I've got that spring action underneath, I will just loosen those screws. And as you can see, it didn't really move as much because sometimes these soap bar routes are a little tight. So you might have to wiggle that. So see, as I wiggled the pickup, then it kind of came back up so the spring action was underneath. Some people really prefer foam on their underneath their P90s, and that's totally fine too. That's definitely a preference thing. I find the foam makes it a little tougher to move the pickup up and down sometimes, and you really want to focus on not stripping out the heads of these screws. Most P90 screws have really terrible thread heads on them, and I can't stand them because if you slip and it breaks, you're looking at kind of pulling it out with a screwdriver or something worse. So I don't really like to use that. So as I brought it up, I kind of looked at just a general, like I'm usually going to fret the last, or push down the last fret, kind of look at the pickup height, make sure I'm not getting too close, and it looks like on this side I backed it off. Again, that's the dangerous part of using a power screwdriver, is you can definitely go a lot too far in only a short amount of time. So once you're happy with the height, then have fun playing it and keep adjusting it, keep tweaking it, see what you like. You may like them all the same, or you may like them like this, because I know when I go to that bridge position, I know it's going to be fuller, thicker, and just balance a little bit better on this particular guitar. So let's go over to the bench and just a very quick primer on installing P90s, which most of them come with metal braided wire. Let's check it out. All right, over here at the workbench, we're going to talk about your P90 is going to come with a braided lead wire. Similar to that, there's going to be the outside metal braid, and then you're going to want to push it back to reveal that inner wire. Just like that. So if you're installing it to a pot, which is going to be what you might be doing on a Gibson style guitar, sometimes it will go to a switch, but regardless, I'm going to show you how to ground it, and then I'll show you how to make sure that it's getting good contact with your switch lug. So if you go into a Strat type selector switch, either way you're going to need to ground the outside of this. This is your braid, and then the inner hot wire is going to have to go to your switch. So like on a 5-way selector switch like we saw on that Reverend guitar, that's where this part's going to go, but the grounds still have to go to the back of the pot no matter what. Some guitars and some wiring are going to go to a toggle switch where you can ground them at the toggle, and then each of these are going to go to the hot lugs on that toggle. So for now, I'm just going to show you this. Typically, your pickup wire is going to be coming in on this side of the pot. So the first thing that we're going to want to do, and hopefully I have all my tools handy to show you this, is we're going to want to lay down some solder on the pot before we start. We don't want to just slam this down and try to solder it. And then what I'd like to do is take this wire and pretend, if I'm kind of mapping out, okay, I'm going to run right through here, and I'm kind of mapping out where it's going to be. Then I'm going to run a little bit of solder on the underside of that to help that contact. So I'll do that really quick. And I'm going to solder directly to, hopefully I can get the camera to focus here for you. I'm going to solder directly to that braid. You can see that little pool of solder there. And that's going to allow me to create that contact. Now hopefully I can do this without reaching for a tool here, but basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to run this through here. So I'll say this is where your hot's going to go. And I've got that solder joint on the bottom side, so I'm going to heat this up and kind of lay it down here and give it a little pressure. And this can be while it's in the guitar, which is a little bit more stable than these little claws. And then what I'm going to do is go back to the top side, and I'm going to add solder to encompass the rest of that braid. So it's a little bit squirrely here as I'm trying to hold on to it. But so as I add the solder, I'm essentially going to create that ground there, and I want it to be as flat as possible. So if you take a look there, I've got a good solder joint that comes all the way around. I can give this a tug after it cools down to make sure it's not going to come off. And then I've got my wire going to the lug here on the pot. And typically at this point with braided wire, I'm going to want to kind of like circulate that around. I'm going to want to crimp it. I want as much metal to metal contact before I put solder on there. So now that I have my hot point here, I'm just going to add a little bit of solder to make that connection. And then now I have my hot to the lug, and then I have my ground here. Really want to make sure all of these braids essentially on this wire are going to be grounds. So you want to make sure none of those are coming in contact with this lug or coming in contact with the hot of this. Now I could probably have pushed this back even further. As you see there, it's very, very tight. But if you feel comfortable making it this tight, that's fine. So as you put in the different pickups, you'll see that. So that's a quick primer on soldering the P90. All right, so that was just a quick flyover of some things related to P90 pickups, everything from soldering to preferred pickup heights from our end to actually adjusting those on how to do that. So I try to cover all of that really quickly, but also pack in a lot more information into this single video. Obviously probably missed some things that you'd like to see, so leave them in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel as well. Thank you for watching and hope you enjoyed this video.